I've got some fresh flour from my mock mill, you can see right there. Anyway, good morning and hello everybody. We're going to be making our own sourdough starter from scratch today. So I've got some freshly ground whole grains. This is whole wheat. This is a white whole wheat. And I just ground it just now in my new mock mill. I'm going to be mixing a similar amount of white flour, all-purpose flour with it. So we'll have about a 50-50 mix here. See if I can let you see that. Back a little bit. Okay, so I've got a scale under this. You can't really see it. And I'm going to be using some gold medal all-purpose unbleached flour. Now we're going to be using this during the 2 weeks that we are making our starter, and you can always mix up some more. But the reason I'm using whole grain is because whole grain has a lot more microorganisms alive and present than the white flour. There we go, that's about 50-50. So let me mix that up. And if you only have whole wheat flour from the grocery store, you can use that too. But freshly ground whole grains have the most enzymes alive, as you could guess. So that's pretty good there. So in those of you that signed up for this event, I put a link in the email that you got so that you could get this book, Make Your Own Sourdough Starter. And we'll be following this. And it's you can also get this as a hard copy version from Amazon. And it's just a little book, but it has a lot of great information on your own sourdough starter and how to care for it. So today we'll be just mixing up our flour and water. And we'll let it set until it starts fermenting, which is usually a day or two. And with this process, sometimes for the first 4 days, some people will add a mixture of water and pineapple juice or orange juice. But we're not going to do that with this event. I'm going to do just the water and flour. And what will happen with the juice is that it will make your sourdough starter acidic right away. And without the juice, it takes about 4 to 5 days for the starter to get acidic enough so that the microorganisms that you want to encourage, they're the ones that like acidity, they will start flourishing and taking off. So for the first 4 days you might have activity, but it isn't necessarily the type of bacteria and yeast that you want for baking bread with. So anytime during the first 4 days you can have some pretty wild activity, or it can smell pretty bad, like dirty socks or old cheese or even vomit. It can smell pretty bad the first 4 to 5 days, but don't let that discourage you, because it's just the microorganisms fighting each other out for dominance. And by the 4th or 5th day, it will be acidic enough where the bacteria that you don't want die off. And the bacteria that you do want, it starts to flourish. So let's get going here. So for my sourdough starter, I usually use a 2-quart, 2-liter Cambro. And this has my white starter in it. And of course I'm going to be making a new starter, but I just wanted to show you the starter that I usually use. And I like it because you can make a small amount of starter in it, but when you want to make a lot of starter for a larger batch of bread, it has plenty of expansion room. And so you don't ever have to worry about the gases blowing off the lid or there not being enough room. So this is what I usually use. However, for our demonstration, we're going to start with just a small amount of starter. So I'm going to be using this glass container here. Now, it also has a lid. This glass container happens to be an old candle holder glass. And I don't usually recommend glass because over the years I've had so many bakers talk about dropping and shattering their glass, or they might take a spoon and hit it on the edge and chip some glass into their starter. However, the really nice thing about glass is you can see through it. So for this event, we're going to be using this glass jar so that I can show you what's going on. But you can use all kinds of different containers. You can use a yogurt container. And the nice thing about the yogurt containers is that the sides are straight. So if you need to go in and clean it out, it's easy. Every container that you want to use, you should be able to put your hand into it so that you can clean it when necessary. I have a few different containers here. I've used this before for sourdough, and it has straight sides. It's small. You would only keep a small amount in this, but this is another food grade, food safe plastic. Here's a cutesy one. I got this at the thrift store. And this is a ceramic, and it's really nice except for that the sides, you can put your hand in it, so that's great. The sides are sloped, so if you need to take a scraper in there or a knife to scrape down the sides, it's a little bit harder to clean them out. If you have a small, let me put this over here. If you have a small opening in your container and rounded shoulders, then you're going to have a lot of difficulty with it. Here's another container I found in the thrift store. So if you go to the thrift store, you might be able to find a cool container. But this container has a glass lid. It's a nice ceramic. It's got nice straight sides. It's got a nice, the size of it's nice. It's not too small, it's not too large. The only reason I'm not using that for the demonstration is because we can't see through it. So let me put this back here too, get them out of my way. I just wanted to say, if you use a yogurt container, then you need to put a big label on it and say, sourdough starter, do not discard, because it looks like it would be yogurt. And if a family member goes in the fridge and opens it and goes, oh my gosh, what's that? They're going to toss it. So there's been too many bakers that have had their sourdough starters tossed because of that. So if you use a food container that has food labeling on it, put a big label on it that says sourdough starter, do not discard. Okay, so let's get started. We have our glass container here. Let me put that down a little further so you can see it. We're going to follow the book, and we start out with 60 grams of flour and 60 grams of water. Now you can really start out with any amount you want. You can start out with 100 grams and 100 grams. We're doing 100% hydration starter, so that you would have to use the same amount of water that you do flour if you want it to be 100% hydration, because 100% hydration means the same amount of water that there is flour. Flour is always the 100%, and all the other ingredients the percentage is taken from the flour weight. So we have 60 grams of flour here. And it's a mixture of the wheat and the white. And I have some water here. I took the temperature just to be OCD about it. It's 61 degrees. So we'll put in 60 grams of water. It's hard when you get to the very end and it just wants a drop. Okay. If you go like 1 gram over or whatever, it doesn't matter. And if you want to be real OCD about it, just put in another gram of flour. So we'll mix that up. Now when you first mix up sourdough starter, especially if you're using a whole grain, it will soak up a lot of the water. But as the fermentation starts and starts breaking down the starch and the gluten, it becomes thinner. So let's talk about fermentation. Now that we've mixed our water and our flour, the gluten and the starch will start to hydrate. The gluten, which is composed of gliadine and glutenine, will begin to bond. The glutenine is the type of protein that allows for bounce and an elasticity. And the gliadine, it is what will help relax the dough and make it stretchable. So you need a balance between the two when you're having your proper fermentation, so that your bread isn't so tight and so stiff that it can't expand. When you want to trap all the air bubbles in the network of gluten, you want it to expand as well. So the gliadine is important for the structure to be able to expand. So fermentation happens. The water is added to the flour, and fermentation starts because enzymes begin to break down the gluten and the starch, and when the starch is broken down, it creates sugars, and the different microorganisms feed off the sugars. They produce gas when they're feeding, and the gas bubbles, that's what creates the air bubbles that you need that's trapped in the network of gluten, so it raises up your dough. So for fermentation, what happens in the first 4 days is that there's all kinds of different microorganisms in the flour, and the same is true on practically any living thing. Plants, fruits, they all have the lactic acid bacteria and the yeast on them. And if you let them sit there, they will ferment. So fermentation is a natural process. And so the first 4 days, it's going to not be quite acidic enough to encourage the bacteria that you want. So we will be seeing some different types of fermentation in the first 4 days. Sometimes it doesn't ferment very much at all. Sometimes it takes off like crazy and it just really goes wild. But if it's during the first 4 days, sorry, but you can't get excited because it's not really the bacteria that you want to encourage. By day 4 and day 5, it will switch, and the starter becomes acidic enough, and the enzymes, the microorganisms that you wish to encourage, will begin to take over, and that will be the beginning of stabilizing your sourdough starter. So we won't be adding any more food to this. We'll not be adding any more flour or water until it actually starts fermenting. Because if I fed it again like tonight, what would happen would be that I would be diluting any microorganisms that are beginning to start their fermentation process. So I really want the fermentation process to be well along and show plenty of bubbling before I start feeding it. So I won't be doing another video today, but tomorrow we'll take a look and see if there's any fermentation starting. The other thing I want to talk about is the temperature. If you feel that you want to really encourage the fermentation and you put your starter somewhere where it's really warm, let's say 80 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit, very often that will actually encourage the bad bacteria to get going. So more average or cooler temperature would be between 68 and maybe 74 degrees Fahrenheit. which is around 20 to 22 degrees Celsius. So you want to keep it on the room temperature side or slightly cooler side, because that encourages a more natural fermentation process. And if you want everything to happen fast, maybe you shouldn't be making sourdough anyway. It's all about patience. So I think we can be patient. It'll take 10 days to 2 weeks for our starters to get strong enough to make bread. And when that happens, we'll test them, and then we'll make bread together. So it would be great if you joined me every day at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And each day we'll follow along and see how our starters are doing. And you can ask questions or make comments. The live chat should be on. I'm going to see if I can see if it's on. Okay, so I don't see that anyone's asked anything, but that's okay, because this is the first day and there might be a lot of people that haven't shown up yet. But you can ask questions in the discussion area below the video. And it's just too bad that you can't show pictures of your own starter. But if you go to Perfect Sourdough, we'll start a post there, and you can show your pictures of your sourdough starter if you want to there. So if you haven't yet, go to Facebook and join Perfect Sourdough, because there's lots of sourdough bakers there. But anyway, show up at 10 a.m. Every morning or afternoon or evening, wherever you are, and we'll follow day by day making our starter. We'll see how it does, and if you have any problems, leave a comment or a question in the discussion area below, and I'll try to answer your questions. And let's have some fun. Let's make some great starters, and in the end, let's make some great sourdough bread. It's been really nice having you here today. So I'll check in with you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.